welcome to part 2 of the Sonic Origins review. I'm Seraph and this will be the one game from the compilation that I'll be covering. We now move forward to the year 1993. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 had come out a year earlier and was on its way to be one of the best-selling Genesis/Mega Drive games of all time. The Sega CD/Mega CD in Europe was still brand new, having been in the US since late 1992 and Japan since 1991. The Sega CD's biggest draw was greater storage, as a CD-ROM could fit significantly more information than a cartridge at the time. This ultimately led to a bunch of full-motion video, or FMV games, being released to take advantage of the additional storage. Ultimately though, the Sega CD did less than stellar in the market, and part of that is attributed to the cost of the unit, as well as the amount of support from Sega. However, history lesson aside, today's review will be looking at one of the most successful games on the Sega CD, with Sonic CD. The game was headed by Sega Japan, as opposed to a joint effort with the American-based Sega Technical Institute. The game was directed by Sonic's designer Naoto Oshima, with lead programmer Yuji Naka not involved due to his dissatisfaction with Sega of Japan's corporate policies. Naka would continue working with Sega Technical Institute in developing Sonic 2 before issues arose. But that's another story for another time. The game was also designed to show off what the Sega CD could do, and its legacy would stand the test of time, being released on PC in 1996, as well as its inclusion in the Sonic Gems collection for the PlayStation 2 and GameCube in 2005. The game was remastered by Christian Whitehead and released for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, PC and mobile devices in 2011. This remaster was developed in the Retro engine and included extras such as widescreen support, better collision detection, spin dash physics from Sonic 2, better frame rates for the special stages, and Tails as a playable character. This version is the one included as part of 2022's Sonic Origins and is notable for being the only game in Sonic Origins where you can't play as Knuckles.
Oh no!
In Sonic CD, Sonic rushes to Never Lake where the little planet appears at the last month of every year. Instead, what he finds is that the little planet has been chained to a mountain by his archenemy Dr. Robotnik, who has started converting it into a base with his robot army. To achieve his plans, Robotnik is making use of the Time Stones, 7 gems with the ability to control the flow of time to make changes to Little Planet in the past in order to change the future in his favour, and it's up to Sonic to speed through 7 areas in order to save the fate of the Little Planet and stop Robotnik's plans. Following Sonic and making her first appearance in the games is Amy Rose, a pink hedgehog infatuated with Sonic, and meeting up with him due to a fated meeting by her tarot cards. She is unfortunately kidnapped in the second area, Collision Chaos, by Metal Sonic, and this marks the first appearance of the Metal Sonic known today. He's not the first Metal Sonic though, as Silver Sonic from the 8-bit and 16-bit versions of Sonic 2 predate him. So not only does Sonic have to stop Robotnik, he also needs to rescue Amy Rose from the clutches of Metal Sonic. In order to do this, Sonic will need to travel through time to stop Robotnik's activities in the past, so that the future will become brighter. Before we move on though, let's address the elephant in the room. Why are we covering Sonic CD before the review for Sonic the Hedgehog 2? The game came out after it. In terms of Sonic's adventures, artist Yasushi Yamaguchi has said in retrospect that based on the ending, the game is set between Sonic 1 and 2. This was officially confirmed with Sonic Origins listing Sonic CD as the adventure following Sonic 1 and before Sonic 2. But is Sonic CD any good? Find out in The Good. I really do enjoy the gameplay for Sonic CD. Each area comprises of 3 zones, and the first 2 zones of each area has a past, present, bad future and good future variation. The first area, Palm Tree Panic, follows Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1's example of acting as a large playground, allowing you to check out the game's features and Sonic's behaviour. Sonic has his trademark spin attack, in which he can destroy enemies by jumping, as well as the spin dash where Sonic curls up into a ball and speeds off, destroying most enemies in his path. New to this game though is the Super Peel Out, where Sonic rapidly runs on the spot when the up directional button and jump buttons are held down simultaneously, and when the buttons are released, he takes off in a burst of speed. The biggest aspect to Sonic CD though is with time travelling. As Sonic navigates around the zone, he'll come across signposts reading past or future. After passing these signs and hearing the voice prompt, Sonic will need to build up speed without being interrupted in order to travel to the past or to the future of the area he's in. The future of the area is based off Sonic's actions in the past. If Sonic has not stopped Robotnik's activities in the past, the future is bleak and the use of colours help expresses the negativity of the bad future. However, if Sonic manages to travel to the past and destroy Robotnik's robot transporter, the future is turned into a good future with brighter colours and lack of enemies to show for Sonic's efforts. Sonic CD puts more emphasis on exploring the levels and platforming, with levels being large in design and with multiple paths that Sonic can take. However, the 10-minute time limit still exists. The past and future versions of the levels are slightly different too, and this is evident by rings being in inaccessible places. To help Sonic locate the robot transporters, he will find an inactive version of it in the present, and this is where it can be found when he travels to the past. Sonic can also optionally destroy a projector showing Metal Sonic abusing the animals of the area, and if destroyed, animals will populate the level. Origins enhances the experience with smoother gameplay and widescreen support, which really makes sections of the game easier. I also feel the game's difficulty moves at a decent pace, getting more difficult as you get more accustomed to the game, though I do feel it is on the easier side. More so in Origins, which I will explain later. I do like the game's special stages. In order to access the special stage, Sonic needs to be holding at least 50 rings when he reaches the end of the level, and jump into the giant ring just past the Robotnik signpost indicating the end of the level. The special stages are laid out in a faux Mode 7 layout of a track, and Sonic will need to jump and destroy 6 UFOs throughout the stage before time runs out. Spread across the track are several tiles which may provide Sonic with a burst of speed, make him jump, or allow him to hover briefly. There are also tiles which will damage Sonic by reducing his ring count. Running off the track's borders will cause time to rapidly go down, and once you have 20 seconds left, a new UFO will appear that will extend your time when destroyed. Destroying UFOs yield rewards such as rings and speed ups, and if you're able to destroy them all in time, Sonic will be awarded with one of the 7 time stones. Once all 7 stones are collected, Sonic will no longer need to go to the past to stop Robotnik, as the 7 time stones will ensure Sonic will get the area's good future as well as the good ending. I also like that this is only one way of getting the good ending. If Sonic goes back and destroys the robot transporters in the past versions of the first 2 levels of each area for all of the areas in the game, then he can also achieve the good ending without even needing to collect a time stone. I really do like the alternative options of allowing Sonic to get the good ending, as it appeals to your playstyle. You can be meticulous and destroy the transporters in the past of every area, or you can collect the 7 time stones in increasingly difficult special stages to get it over and done with, without having to go time travel as much. The game's soundtrack is also another thing I really like about it. When I say soundtrack, I personally prefer the Japanese/PAL version. The American soundtrack's best track is Sonic Boom, which was used for the opening and ending. The Japanese and PAL version used Sonic You Can Do Anything for its opening, which is inspired by the music from Green Hills Zone in the 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This is also because the music was composed by Masafumi Ogata and Naofumi Hataya, who had worked on both games. The ending theme, Cosmic Eternity, Believe in Yourself, is briefly sampled whenever Sonic completes a level in the Japanese and PAL version. The music used in the Japanese and PAL versions complements the past, good future and bad future of the area, as the basic melody is retained, but it is rearranged appropriately to represent the timeline that Sonic is in. The American version used different music for the present and future stages, as they were mixed mode CD audio and could be easily changed out. The past music couldn't be changed as they were sequence-based PCM tracks, and according to Spencer Nelson, one of the composers for the US soundtrack, this was due to Sega of America wanting a more rich and complex soundtrack, as well as a theme song that could be promoted. In saying that, the US soundtrack is pretty good too, and the composers only had a couple of months to work on it, so it's a really impressive feat. While Sonic CD had a lot of good going for it, it's not perfect, so let's look at what wasn't so good in the bad. Doc had mentioned in the previous review of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 in the Sonic Origins collection, but I must stress having an endless supply of lives and using coins to replay the special stages does trivialise the game's difficulty, and to me cheapens the experience at the cost of accessibility to newer fans. The game has 2 ways of getting the good ending as it is, and it's with this element that I feel that Sonic CD is one of the easier games of the 16-bit collection. You can play the game in Origins with lives, however this would be the classic mode, which locks you in the 4:3 aspect ratio without the quality of life changes the remaster offers. Sadly, there was a mass delisting of standalone Sonic games on May the 23rd after Sonic Origins was revealed, so getting access to Sonic CD with the remastered changes and playing with lives is very limited. While I personally enjoyed the time travelling aspect of the game, I can acknowledge that how it works may not be for everyone. After passing a sign, Sonic needs to constantly build up and maintain speed and momentum in order to travel through to the past, present or future. And sometimes with the level layout it's hard to do, since all it takes is Sonic hitting an obstacle or losing speed after a certain point to ruin your time travel attempts. Funny enough, even passing a different sign can ruin your chances of sending Sonic to the intended time period, and once you've activated the sign, that's it. You can't go back and trigger it again unless you lose a life. Other than that, I think I'm done here, so let's wrap things up with the opinion. Personally, Sonic CD is my favourite game of the 16-bit Sonic games. I like the gameplay mechanics and the focus on exploration and time travel, as well as the special stages and music. More importantly, I like the idea of having multiple ways of getting the good ending, which tailors more to your playstyle and makes it more accessible. My only gripes are shared among the other Sonic games in the Origins collection, and the time travelling element may not be for everyone. The limited availability of Sonic CD to be played with the remastered quality of life updates, but with lives, was something I wasn't overly keen on either. However, outside of that, Sonic Origins is the way to go for a smooth experience with Sonic CD today, if you're wanting something readily available legitimately. It's easier to see the difference in design between the development teams, and some people prefer Sonic CD over the other 16-bit games and vice versa. But I still think it's definitely one of the titles to play if you enjoy the classic Sonic experience. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Sonic CD the Angel statue out of 10. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned in November for part 3 on this Sonic Origins review, where Doc will cover Sonic the Hedgehog 2. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.